Hello, my name is Sandra, and I would be exploring anti-Black racism. This is a personal reflection on systemic prejudice and the need for change. So, here you have my introduction. When I started writing my reflection, I wanted to emphasize how anti-Black racism is deeply embedded in both historical and contemporary professional settings. I used my personal experience as a support worker to illustrate this point, which I believe made the issue more relatable and real. So, my introduction sets the stage by highlighting the pervasive nature of racism and its impact on individuals like myself. So, as you can clearly see in my introduction, it's talking about my personal experience of facing racism and prejudice from a client I had when I was working with a particular company whom I shall not name. So, here it is, my story about I felt um, how I felt that racist behavior was portrayed towards me. And yeah, that's it. And I shared my experience working with a client who made racist remarks about my background and qualifications. This was a challenging and painful experience, but I felt it was important to highlight how racism operates on multiple levels, both overtly and subtly. For example, the client's demeaning comment about me being no different from darkness was overly racist, while her questioning of my credentials based on where I'm from reflected more subtle biases. So I connected this personal experience to broader societal issues like the stereotypes Carl E discusses in his work here. This helped illustrate that my experience wasn't an isolated incident, but part of a larger systemic issue. Say to all these people, God, they did disturb me. So here, my workplace's handling of the situation was so disappointing because despite reporting the incident, they continued to schedule me with the same client until she requested a replacement employee. And instead of addressing her behavior, they dismissed me without cause. I was so pained and I felt so disappointed. I felt like the system had failed me. This experience showed me how institutions can fail to protect employees from racism, often prioritizing client preferences over employee dignity. And this incident aligns with Carl E. James' critique of institutions that normalize or minimize racism instead of confronting it. It highlights the need for systemic change within organizations. So, connection to Carl E. James' work. Hello. Oh, God. So I found Carl E. James, The Canadian Experience of Racism and Anti-Black Racism, particularly insightful. His work resonates with my experiences because he addresses issues that directly relate to what I went through. Um, he talks about the myth of Black incompetence, how in my own case, the clients questioned my qualifications. Gabriel reminded me of James' critique of stereotypes about Black professionals and racialized stress. The feelings of isolation and devaluation I experienced, which aligns with James' concept of racial trauma. Also institutional complicity. Give me a second. Sorry. Institutional complicity. My workplace failure to act mirrors James' observation that many organizations prioritize convenience over combating racism. This connection strengthened my argument by showing that what happened to me wasn't just an isolated incident, it's part of a larger systemic issue. And there you have my proposed solutions. When thinking about solutions, I focused on practical steps organizations could take to combat racism. These are anti-racism training that could help to reduce microaggressions and foster inclusivity. Two, transparent reporting mechanisms. Employees need clear procedures for reporting discrimination without any fear of being retaliated against. There should also be support systems. Um, Mental health resources should be provided that acknowledges the emotional toll racism takes, and there should be client accountability. Like organizations should balance client preferences with employee dignity. So this solution addresses both individual behavior and systematic issues, offering a comprehensive approach to creating more inclusive workplaces. And yeah, the demerits are that this anti-racism training, there might be some resistance from some people because it's certainly something that is still new, that is still at the grassroots levels. So people might protest and be like, no, this isn't what we're all about. They might not want to obey set down rules and regulations. So it will take some time before people start adhering completely to things like that. And also the process of implementation will necessitate a substantial time and cost commitment because it is not cheap to enforce rules and regulations. And then there might be client pushback. Organizations could lose clients if the clients feel, oh, this organization isn't serving my needs, they are not responding to what I like, they do not place me high above their employees, they could lose clients. And yeah, it might just be difficult to guarantee the uniform application of policies. So, in conclusion, I summarized how this experience affected me personally while highlighting its broader implications. Being dismissed by my workplace made me feel undervalued and neglected, not just as an employee, but as a person. It also made me question whether institutions are truly committed to diversity and inclusion, or if those values are just empty promises. This incident has shaped my future goals, like prioritizing my mental health, seeking overall inclusive workplaces, and advocating for change. I believe that by sharing my story and advocating for systemic change, I can contribute to creating more equitable environments for everyone. I feel so proud of what I wrote because it captures both the personal pain of experiencing racism and the larger systemic issues that enable it to persist. So I believe my ability to connect with personal experiences with academic theory from Carl E. James is a notable point, and my critique of institutional failure and its role in perpetuating racism. So yeah, overall, this reflection has helped me process what happened to me while also thinking critically about how we can address systemic racism moving forward. So yeah, that is everything. Thank you so much.